ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। यदा मृधे कौरव संजयानाम। Okay, this is 13 to 14. यदा मृधे कौरव संजयानाम वीरेश्वर्थो वीर गतिम गतेषु वृकोदरा विद्ध गदाभिमर्श भग्नोरुदंडे धृतराष्ट्रपुत्रे भर्तुः प्रियं द्रौणिरिति स्म पश्यन् कृष्णासुतानां स्वपतां शिरांसि उपाहरद्विप्रियमेव तस्य जुगुप्सितं कर्म विगर्हयन्ति. When the respective warriors of both camps, namely the Kauravas and the Pandavas, were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the dead warriors obtained their deserved destinations. And when the sons of Dhritarashtra, and when the son of Dhritarashtra fell down lamenting, his spine broken, being beaten by the club of Bhimasena, the son of Dronacharya, Ashwathama, beheaded the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi and delivered the heads as a prize to his master, foolishly thinking that he would be pleased. Duryodhana, however, disapproved of the heinous act. He was not pleased in the least. Okay, where is the map? Tatra Parikshito Janman Nirupayishyan, he had to describe the birth of Parikshit Maharaj. आदौ तावत् गर्भस्थ एव अश्वत्थाम्नः ब्रह्मास्त्रात् कृष्णेन रक्षितः इति वक्तुं कथां प्रस्तौति यदेत्यादिना. We wanted to point out that even when Parikshit Maharaj was in the womb of his mother, he was protected by Lord Krishna from Ashwathama's Brahmastra. In order to point that out, he first of all introduces the topic with the current verse. Transcendental topics of the activities of Lord Sri Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam begin from the end of the battle at Kurukshetra, where the Lord himself spoke about himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, both the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are transcendental topics of Lord Krishna. The Gita is Krishna Katha, or topics of Krishna, because it is spoken by the Lord, and the Bhagavatam is also Krishna Katha because it is spoken about the Lord. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everyone to be of both Krishna Kathas by his order. Lord Krishna Chaitanya is Krishna himself in the garb of a devotee of Krishna, and therefore the versions of both Krishna and Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are identical. Emphasis. Lord Chaitanya desired that all who are born in India seriously understand such Krishna Kathas, and then after full realization, preach the transcendental message to everyone in all parts of the world. That will bring about the desired peace and prosperity of this stricken world. 15. माता शिशूनां निधनं सुतानां निशम्य घोरं परितप्यमाना तदा रुदद् बाष्प कलाकुलाक्षी तां सांत्वयन्नाह किरीटमाली. Draupadi, the mother of 5 children of the Pandavas, after hearing of the massacre of her sons, began to cry in distress with eyes full of tears. Trying to pacify her in her great loss, Arjuna spoke to her thus. Achyutanam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, how theoretical knowledge gets converted into realized knowledge as Prabhupada is actually ordering in purport, in 14th purport.
Devo Mukheshi Jihvadau Swayameva Spuratyadaha. When we engage in Bhakti Yoga properly, then gradually Vairagya, Vidya and Bhakti are bestowed by Lord Krishna. So when we progress in Krishna consciousness, Vairagya, Vidya, Bhakti increases. When we regress in Krishna consciousness, Vairagya, Vidya, Bhakti decreases. That's how we understand whether we are progressing or regressing.
Okay, bro.
The Mali gives the impression that Arjuna had several helmets. So even though he had only one helmet, it had uh, many different. It was pointed, spiked. It had multiple spikes, you can say, and therefore it is said that this expression Kiritamali is used. Kiritamali literally means one who wears many helmets. Here, you wore one helmet which had that. 16. Tada shuchastipram rajami bhadre yad brahmabandho shira atatayinaha gandiva muktair vishikair upahare vakramya yatsnas yasidagdha putra. O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that degraded Brahmana after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. Then, after burning your sons' bodies, you can take your bath standing on his head. These are all standard Kshatriya dialogues. This is how they talk. Kill them. Bathe you with the blood. All these things. That Sindur Prabhupada said was originally the blood. Kill all opponents in a Swayamvara. Take the blood and put it on the princess' forehead. Very heroic. This is the original Bollywood. Here, Ashwatthama is referred to as a Brahmabandhu, Brahmana Adhama, the lowest of the Brahmanas. Atatayinaha is referred to as an Atatayi. Atatayi means an aggressor. Aggressor has a particular legal meaning in Vedic civilization. And here is a famous description from the Smriti, from the Dharma Shastras. Agnidho Garadaschaiva Shastrapanir Dhanapaha Kshetradara Haraschaiva Shadayate Hyatatayinaha. One who sets fire, one who gives poison, one who has weapons in his hand and attacks, one who steals somebody else's wealth, one who steals somebody else's property or wife. These are the 6 types of aggressors. So Ashwatthama is referred to as an Atatayi, that he had a weapon in his hand and killed the sons who did not have weapons. They were sleeping. This appears in Sauptika Parva. one of the cantos of Mahabharata. It reads like a horror novel with all the massive killing. It was fully blessed by Lord Shiva also. It was very terrible. An enemy who sets fire to the house. Achyutanam Prabhu.
Prabhu, this killing also was done only by Kshatriyas. Like aggressor can be killed, but only Kshatriyas can kill him. Like Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra, they will not touch them, or they also can kill.
There are certain circumstances where certain things were allowed. Under certain emergency crisis situations, certain things were allowed. Even in modern law, for self-defense, one is allowed to kill.
Mm-hmm.
That answers the other question here on the chat also.
But Prabhu,
An enemy who, yeah.
Nowadays we cannot like it's so complex. Even for self-defense, if one of these six categories is there, we may be implicated in law and this and that. They may not.
But the basic spirit is acceptable in most countries of the world. Most countries of the
Actually,
world.
nowadays, they if in self-defense you are killing someone, then you will be given less punishment, but you will be penalized, even in America.
No, in a situation where you cannot call the police, you're stranded, and you can provide all convincing evidence that this was the situation, then you'll be released. They'll put you in custody while the investigation is going on, and then when they're convinced, then they'll release you. An enemy who sets fire to the house, administers poison, attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapons, plunders wealth, usurps agricultural fields, or entices one's wife is called an aggressor. Such an aggressor, though he be a Brahmana or a so-called son of a Brahmana, has to be punished in all circumstances. When Arjuna promised to behead the aggressor named Ashwatthama, he knew well that Ashwatthama was the son of a Brahmana, but because the so-called Brahmana acted like a butcher, he was taken as such, and there was no question of sin in killing such a Brahmana's son, who proved to be a villain. Nowadays, they're trying to avoid capital punishment also. Many countries. I think India also, they're trying their best to avoid capital punishment. Makes it a bigger problem. Because then people lose fear. When people lose fear, then whole India keeps talking, what's wrong with our men? What's wrong with these people? What's wrong with those people? Why can't they develop some love, some compassion? Why can't they just develop some maturity in social dealings? Why can't they let the woman just exist? But nobody exists. Unless if you don't control people through fear, then you cannot establish basic law and order in society. 17. Iti priyam valgu vichitra jalpai sasantvayitvat shutamitra suta anvadravad damshita ugra dhanva kapidhvajo guru putram rathena. Arjuna, who was guided by the infallible Lord as friend and driver, thus satisfied the dear lady by such statements. Then he dressed in armor and armed himself with furious weapons. And getting into his chariot, he set out to follow Ashwatthama, the son of his martial teacher. Where is Kapidhwaja? Kapidhwaja indicates that Hanuman was on his flag as an insignia. 18. Tam apatantam sad vilakshya durat kumarahodvignam manarathena paradravat prana pariksurur vyam yavad gamam rudra bhayad yatha kaha. Ashwathama, the murderer of the princess, seeing from a great distance Arjuna coming at him with great speed, fled in his chariot, panic-stricken, just to save his life, as Brahma fled in fear from Shiva. So here is Yathakaha. Once Brahma became a male deer and he chased his daughter, who had assumed the form of a female deer. So at that time, Lord Rudra became very angry, and out of fear he ran away. Sometimes instead of Yathakaha, Yatha Arkaha, Yatharkaha appears. That is an indication to something set out in the Vamana Purana. So there was a Rakshasa named Vidvan, and he was a devotee of Maheshwara. Lord Rudra had given him a golden Vimana airplane. So then he flew behind the sun. And because he flew behind the sun, when the sun is moving this side of Mount Meru and then he is on the other side, so they both are going like this. So then he removed night. At that time, sun, Surya, he melted him with his heat and had him thrown out of his Vimana. On hearing that, Lord Rudra became angry. And out of fear of Rudra, Arka or Surya, he ran away. And by the cruel glance of Lord Rudra, Surya was burning. When he fell into Varanasi and became famous by the name Lolarka. In Varanasi, there's a place which refers to this incident. According to the reading matter, either Kaha or Arkaha, there are two references in the Puranas. Kaha means Brahma, who once became allured by his daughter and began to follow her, which infuriated Shiva, who attacked Brahma with his trident. Brahmaji fled in fear of his life. As far as Arkaha is concerned, there is a reference in the Vamana Purana. There was a demon by the name Vidvan who was gifted with a glowing golden airplane, which traveled to the back of the sun, and night disappeared because of the glowing effulgence of this plane. Thus, the sun god became angry, and with his virulent rays, he melted the plane. This enraged Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva then attacked the sun god, who fled away, and at last fell down at Kashi, Varanasi, and the place became famous as Lolarka. 19. Yada Sharanamatmanam Aikshata Shrantavajinam Astram Brahma Shiromene Atmatranam Dujatmajaha. When the son of the Brahmana Ashwathama saw that his horses were tired, he considered that there was no alternative for protection outside of his using the ultimate weapon, the Brahmastra, clear weapon. So when he realized that he didn't have anyone to protect him, now one might argue his running away itself will protect him. No, that also got disturbed. That also was stopped. because his horses, they became exhausted. Here, the weapon known as Brahmashiras refers to Brahmastra. He is referred to as the son of a twice born because he did not possess any foresight. In the ultimate issue only, when there is no alternative, the nuclear weapon called the Brahmastra is applied. The word Vijatmajaha is significant here because Ashwathama, although the son of Dronacharya, was not exactly a qualified Brahmana. Vijatmajaha, the son of a Brahmana. The most intelligent man is called a Brahmana, and it is not a hereditary title. Ashwathama was also formerly called a Brahmabandhu, or a friend of a Brahmana. Being a friend of a Brahmana does not mean that one is a Brahmana by qualification. A friend or son of a Brahmana can be called a Brahmana when fully qualified and not otherwise. Since Ashwathama's decision is immature, he is purposely called herein the son of a Brahmana. 20. Athopasprisya salilam sandadhe tat samahitaha ajananapi samharam pranakraksha upasthite. Since his life was in danger, he touched water in sanctity and concentrated upon the chanting of the hymns for throwing nuclear weapons, although he did not know how to withdraw his weapons. So to release that Brahmastra, one needs to engage in a certain form of meditation, and he did that. And one is actually supposed to know how to withdraw the celestial weapon, but he did not know how to do that. Then why did he release it? Pranakritshe upasthite, because his life was in crisis. Because his life was in danger, therefore he did it. The subtle forms of material activities are finer than grosser methods of material manipulation. Such subtle forms of material activities are effected through purification of sound. The same method is adopted here by chanting hymns to act as nuclear weapons. In other words, this is all part of the material system itself. Just like we have a computer, we have different icons. We just double click the icon and then a program opens up. So like that, these different weapons and so on, they can be manifest using appropriate methods, appropriate techniques, mantras, and so on. Sadaputta Prabhu used to say that the different procedures are like the different icons, and the mantras are like the passwords with which you activate them. 21. Tatah pradushkritam tejah prachandam sarvatodisham pranapadam abhiprechya vishnum jishnu ruvachaha. Thereupon a glaring light spread in all directions. It was so fierce that Arjuna thought his own life in danger, and so he began to address Lord Shri Krishna. (22) Arjuna Vacha. Krishna Krishna Mahavaho Bhaktanam Abhayankara Tvameko Dahyamananam Apavargosi Samsrute. Arjuna said, "O my Lord Shri Krishna, you are the Almighty Personality of Godhead. There is no limit to your different energies. Therefore, only you are competent to instill fearlessness in the hearts of your devotees. Everyone in the flames of material miseries can find the path of liberation in you only." Prastutam Vigyapayitum Prasamam Stauti Krishneti Chaturvihi. So he wanted to submit to Lord Krishna information about his situation. Pray to him, but before that, he glorifies him in 4 verses. Arjuna was aware of the transcendental qualities of Lord Sri Krishna as he had already experienced them during the Kurukshetra war, in which both of them were present. Therefore, Arjuna's version of Lord Krishna is authoritative. Krishna is almighty and is especially the cause of fearlessness for the devotees. The devotee of the Lord is always fearless because of the protection given by the Lord. Material existence is something like a blazing fire in the forest, which can be extinguished by the mercy of the Lord Sri Krishna. The spiritual master is the mercy representative of the Lord. Therefore, a person burning in the flames of material existence may receive the rains of mercy of the Lord through the transparent medium of the self-realized spiritual master. The spiritual master, by his words, can penetrate into the heart of the suffering person and inject knowledge transcendental, which alone can extinguish the fire of material existence. 23. Tvamadhyah Purusha Sakshad Ishvara Prakriteh Paraha Mayam Yudasya Chichaktya Kaivalyasthita Atmani. You are the original personality of Godhead to expand yourself all over the creations and are transcendental to material energy. You have cast away the effects of the material energy by dint of your spiritual potency. You are always situated in eternal bliss and transcendental knowledge. He is, that's the reason why he is praying to Krishna. It is because he is directly Ishvara, the Supreme Lord. And that is because he is the Purusha, the soul, who is transcendental to Prakriti. Entirely transcendental to Prakriti. Absolutely transcendental. And how is that? Because he is the original cause. Even though he is the cause, he is not degraded. He is not transformed. Something I need to check. I need to check the variant reading here. Mayam yudasya abhibhuya kaivalya rupe atmanyeva sitaha. He has eternally overcome Maya, and he is always situated in his isolated stand by himself. The Lord states in the Bhagavad Gita that one who surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord can get release from the clutches of nations. Krishna is just like the sun, and Maya or material existence is just like darkness. Wherever there is the light of the sun, darkness or ignorance. Wherever there is the light of the sun, darkness or ignorance at once vanishes. The best means to get out of the world of ignorance is suggested here. The Lord is addressed herein as the original personality of Godhead. From him, all other personalities of Godhead expand. The all-pervasive Lord Vishnu is Lord Krishna's plenary portion or expansion. The Lord expands himself in innumerable forms of Godhead and living beings, along with his different energies. But Sri Krishna is the original primeval Lord from whom everything emanates. The all-pervasive feature of the Lord, experienced within the manifested world, is also a partial representation of the Lord. Paramatma, therefore, is included within him. He is the absolute personality of Godhead. He has nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material manifestation because he is far above the material creation. Darkness is a perverse representation of the sun, and therefore the existence of darkness depends on the existence of the sun, but in the sun proper, there is no trace of darkness. As the sun is full of light only, similarly, the absolute personality of Godhead, beyond the material existence, is full of bliss. He is not only full of bliss, but also full of transcendental variegatedness. Transcendence is not at all static, but is full of dynamic variegatedness. He is distinct from the material nature, which is complicated by the three modes of material nature. He is Parama, or the chief. Therefore, he is absolute. He has manifold energies, and through his diverse energies, he creates, manifests, maintains, and destroys the material world. In his own abode, however, everything is eternal and absolute. The world is conducted not by the energies or powerful agents by themselves, but by the potent all-powerful with all energies. Oh, Achutanam Prabhu. Question.
Prabhu, I was wondering that even in such dangerous situation, how pure devotees are able to offer prayers, that now Brahmastra is coming, and still instead of directly asking for protection, first he is praying, like bewilders, at least to me.
That is Arjuna. That is why Krishna taught him Bhagavad Gita. If something like that had happened, I would not think. 3 times I have drowned. 3 times I have drowned. I still don't know swimming. 3 times I have drowned during Navadip Mandal Parikrama time. All 3 times devotees asked me, did you chant Hare Krishna when you were drowning? All 3 times I forgot. Just at that time. Just at that time when you're drowning. You just want to save yourself. That's all. So that shows ultimately whose devotee you are. You're a devotee of yourself. I am a devotee of myself. That's all. So that's when I realized 3 times I was chastised by devotees. No, you should chant, you should chant. Ajamila chanted the Lord's name at the moment of death. That's why he was delivered. It's not easy. So I need to come to that point. All of us need to come to that point. Okay, wait. Let me just look for that. Some variant reading here I need to examine. Maybe why this thing is not opening. Okay. What is this? 23. I'm just opening in a different window just to check. It's more convenient for me to open it in a different window. Adhyaha. Adhyaha means karanam. Okay. Adhyaha means karanam. Fine. Spell it to me. 24. But I remember when I was studying in the Gurukul earlier on, and sometimes the boys would be playing and they would, they would play different games. And there was something where somebody had to catch someone. So the one who was meant to be caught is running away. He was running. And the other boy is about to touch him. So just before he was about to touch him, then he loudly, it's just spontaneous, loudly, this boy is shouting, "Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandhu Jagatpati, Gopisha Gopika, Kanta Radha, Kanta Namostute, please make sure that he doesn't touch me." So I thought, wow, this is something. This is something. He's just playing. He's just playing. He's just playing. So therefore, I always had some. And it was reinforced later on by Pankajani Prabhu also. He said that these children, if they are well taken care of, they can become sterling devotees. They can become super excellent devotees. 24. Saiva jiva lokasya maya mohita chetasaha vidatse svena viryena shreyo dharmadi lakshanam. And yet, though you are beyond the purview of the material energy, you execute the 4 principles of liberation, characterized by religion and so on, for the ultimate good of the conditioned souls. Dharmadi, 4 principles of liberation. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. But actually, they're all meant for liberation. What is this? There's a question in the chat. How it happened twice? How I drowned 3 times? Foolish. That's all. The boat or something. 1 time was during flood, 2 times during Navadip Parikrama. I remember actually, twice during Parikrama, once during flood. It's just stupidity, that's all. Krishna is so kind, he has helped me. He's helping. At least now I should accept his help. Trivargadatapi Tvameva. Not only, see, he stated that you are Apavarga. You are the one who saves everyone from the calamities of material existence, which implies that he is the one who gives liberation. But then what about Trivarga? Dharmartha Kama. The gift of Dharmartha Kama is also given by Krishna only. Because that very same person who has eternally conquered Maya, he is the one, when he is worshipped by a person who is overcome by Maya, he gives dharma, artha, kama. How does he do it? By his own prowess. The personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, descends to the manifested world without being influenced by the material modes of nature. He is eternally beyond the material manifestations. He descends out of his causeless mercy only to reclaim the fallen souls who are captivated by the illusory energy. They are attacked by the material energy, and they want to enjoy her under false pretexts. Although in essence, the living entity is unable to enjoy. One is eternally the servitor of the Lord, and when he forgets this position, he thinks of enjoying the material world, but factually he is in illusion. The Lord descends to eradicate this false sense of enjoyment, thus reclaim conditioned souls back to God. See, we should also keep in mind that Krishna fulfills one's desires for Trivarga, Dharmartha Kama, only in such a manner that it will help that conditioned soul get ultimate liberation. Krishna has no desire to just help us rot in this material world. He actually wants to help us get out of material existence. Absolutely, completely. That is the all-merciful nature of the Lord for the fallen souls. That point will become more evident in Srimad Bhagavatam as we proceed. 25. Tathayam chavataraste bhuvo bhara jihirshaya swanam chananya bhavanam anudhyanaya chasakrit. Oh, I got my medicine. Just give me a minute. Thus, you descend as an incarnation to remove the burden of the world and to benefit your friends, especially those who are your exclusive devotees and are constantly wrapped in meditation upon you. तथा च अनेन अवतारेण तव साधुपक्षपातः लक्ष्यते इत्याह तथेति. And on top of it, through this current incarnation, your partiality towards saintly devotees is very prominently seen. Question. Doesn't this removing the burden of the earth happen simply by Krishna's desire? That is true, but he specifically descends for the sake of the exclusive devotees of the Lord, who are constantly wrapped in meditation upon him. It appears that the Lord is partial to his devotees. Everyone is related with the Lord. He is equal to everyone, and yet he is more inclined to his own men and devotees. The Lord is everyone's father. No one can be his father, yet no one can be his son. His devotees are his kinsmen, and his devotees are his relations. This is his transcendental pastime. It has nothing to do with mundane ideas of relations, fatherhood, or anything like that. As mentioned above, the Lord is above the modes of material nature, and thus there's nothing mundane about his kinsmen, relations, and devotional service. See, the Lord, he chooses only his devotees as his relatives. 26. Now, he actually begins to present his problem for a resolution. Kim idam svit kuto veti devadeva na vednyaham sarvato mukhamayati teja paramadarunam. O Lord of Lords, how is it that this dangerous effulgence is spreading all around? Where does it come from? I do not understand it. Evam stutva prasutam vigyapayati. When having offered his glorification, he submits Kimatmakam. What is the nature of this effulgence? Idam kutova ayati. From where is it coming? Anything that is presented before the personality of God should be so done after due presentation of respectful prayers. That is a standard procedure. And Sri Arjuna, although an intimate friend of the Lord, is observing this method for general information. 27. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Vetthedam Dronaputrasya Brahmam Astram Pradarshitam. Naivasau Veda Samharam Pranabhatha Upasthite. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, know from me that this is the act of the son of Drona. He has thrown the hymns of nuclear energy, Brahmastra, and he does not know how to retract the glare. He has helplessly done this, being afraid of imminent death. He has simply shown it because he was about to die. He didn't know what to do. He is not expert in the utilization of this Brahmastra. And therefore, he does not know how to withdraw it. But you know, the Brahmastra is similar to the modern nuclear weapon manipulated by atomic energy. The atomic energy works wholly on total combustibility. And so the Brahmastra also acts. It creates an intolerable heat, similar to atomic radiation. But the difference is that the atomic bomb is a gross type of nuclear weapon, whereas the Brahmastra is a subtle type of weapon produced by chanting hymns. It is a different science. And in the days gone by, such science was cultivated in the land of Bharatavarsha. Emphasis. The subtle science of chanting hymns is also material, like end of emphasis. But it has yet to be known by the modern material scientists. Subtle material science is not spiritual, but it has a direct relationship with the spiritual method, which is still subtler. A chanter of hymns knew how to apply the weapon as well as how to retract it. That was perfect knowledge. But the son of Dronacharya, who made use of this subtle science, did not know how to retract. He applied it, being afraid of his imminent death. And thus the practice was not only improper, but also irreligious. As a son of a Brahmana, he should not have made so many mistakes. And for such gross negligence of duty, he was to be punished by the Lord himself. Who taught him how to release it? Why was he not taught how to withdraw? All of this is the Mahabharata narration. Only in Mahabharata we come across all this details. Why he was not taught how to withdraw. 28. Nahyasyanyatamam kinchid astram pratyavakarsanam. Jahyastra teja unnadham astragyo hyastra tejasa. Oh Arjuna, only another Brahmastra can counteract this weapon. Since you are expert in the military science, subdue this weapon's glare with the power of your own weapon. Achyutananda.
So, did he, was he right in using Brahmastra? Was he wrong? Like in some places it is said because there was no alternative, so he released. But then again, Srila Prabhupada is saying that, but it was wrong. It was improper for him. If he did not know how to retract, he should not have released. So,
It's not that when my life is in crisis, I can do whatever I want. Not that my life is in crisis, I can throw a bomb and destroy a building. What is that? Give me some basic consideration. You can protect yourself. It's fine. You cannot protect yourself in such a manner that you would destroy innocent people and all that. For atomic bombs, it's no counter weapon to neutralize the effects.
Your voice is breaking.
Why is my voice breaking? Is my voice unbreaking now?
Are you using the microphone?
No, not at all.
Maybe this is the time for switch off the video pro.
It is an indication that all of us should switch off our videos. Switch off the videos, we don't know who's alive, who's dead, but it doesn't matter what can be done. Pramekshra upasthite. For the atomic bombs, there is no counter weapon to neutralize the effects, but by subtle signs, the action of a Brahmastra can be counteracted. And those who are expert in the military science in those days would counteract the Brahmastra. The son of Dronacharya did not know the art of counteracting the weapon. Therefore, Arjuna was asked to counteract it by the power of his own weapon. 29. Uvacha. Sutta Bhagavata Proktam. Arjuna Praviraha. Spritva Pastam Parikramya. Brahman Brahmaya Santadhe. Sutta Goswami said, hearing this from the personality of Godhead, Arjuna touched water for purification. After circumambulating Lord Sri Krishna, he cast his Brahmastra weapon. He cast his Brahmastra weapon to counteract the other one. Okay, can you hear me? Is it more audible?
Yes, Prabhu, very clear.
Vare Shatravaha. He touched water for purification means that he did achaman. Then he circumambulated the Lord. 30. Samhatyan yonyam ubhayos tejasi sharasamvrite avritya rodasi khamcha vavridhaterka vahnivat. When the rays of the two Brahmastras combined, a great circle of fire, like the disk of the sun, covered all outer space and the whole firmament of planets. This great circle of fire refers to fire that comes out of the mouth of Lord Sankarsana. The heat created by the flash of a Brahmastra resembles the fire exhibited in the sun globe at the time of cosmic annihilation. The radiation of atomic energy is very insignificant in comparison to the heat produced by a Brahmastra. The atomic bomb explosion can at most blow one globe, but the heat produced by the Brahma destroy the whole cosmic situation. The comparison is therefore made to the heat at the time of annihilation. 31. Drishtva tejastu tayostri lokan pradahan mahat dahyamana prajasarva samvartakam avam satta. All the population of the three worlds was scorched by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvartaka fire, which takes place at the time of annihilation. Samvartaka is the fire at the time of dissolution. The three worlds are the upper, lower, and intermediary planets of the universe. Although the Brahmastra was released on this earth, the heat produced by the combination of both weapons covered all the universe, and all the populations on all the different planets began to feel the heat excessively and compared it to that of the Samvartaka fire. No planet, therefore, is without living beings, as less intelligent materialistic men think. 32. Rajopadravamalakshya Lokavyatikaram Chatam Matam cha Vasudevasya Sanjahararjunodvayam. Thus, seeing the disturbance of the general populace and the imminent destruction of the planets, Arjuna at once retracted both Brahmastra weapons as Lord Shri Krishna desired. The theory that the modern atomic bomb explosions can annihilate the world is childish imagination. First of all, the atomic energy is not powerful enough to destroy the world. And secondly, ultimately, it all rests on the supreme will of the Supreme Lord, because without his will or sanction, nothing can be built up or destroyed. It is foolish also to think that natural laws are ultimately powerful. Material nature's law works under the direction of the Lord as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord says that that natural laws work under his supervision. The world can be destroyed only by the will of the Lord and not by the whims of tiny politicians. Lord Shri Krishna desired that the weapons released by both Drauni and Arjuna be withdrawn, and it was carried out by Arjuna at once. Similarly, there are many agents of the all-powerful Lord, and simply by his will only can one execute what he desires. 33. Tata asadya tarasa darunam gautami sutam babandha marshatam raksha pashum rashanaya yatha. Arjuna, his eyes blazing in anger, like two red balls of copper, dexterously, expertly arrested the son of Gautami and bound him with ropes like an animal. Gautama Vamshaja Gautami Kripi. So Kripi appears in Gautama's dynasty. Therefore, she is referred to as Gautami. And Ashwatthama was a son of Kripi, and therefore is referred to as Gautami Sutta. Not Tamne, Tamre. And Arjuna bound up Ashwatthama mercilessly. And the example is given in this verse. Like binding an animal. But it was dharmic. His binding Ashwatthama was dharmic, just like binding a sacrificial animal. It seems we also need to read Mahabharata for understanding the whole stories. Is it so? Not necessarily. Gives a context. Ashwatthama's mother, Kripi, was born in the family of Gautama. The significant point in this shloka is that Ashwatthama was caught and bound up with ropes like an animal. According to Sridhar Swami, Arjuna was obliged to catch the son of a Brahmana like an animal as a part of his duty, dharma. This suggestion by Sridhar Swami is confirmed in the later statement of Sri Krishna. Ashwatthama was a bona fide son of Dronacharya and Kripi, but because he had degraded himself to a lower status of life, it was proper to treat him as an animal and not as a Brahmana. 54. Shibirayan ninishantam rajva badhva ripum balat praharjanam prakupito bhagavan ambujekshanaha. After binding Ashwatthama, Arjuna wanted to take him to the military camp. The personality of Goddess Shri Krishna, looking on with his lotus eyes, spoke to Arjuna in an angry mood. Shoka roshadi yuktasya api Arjunasya dharmanishta kyapanaya Shri Krishna Vakyam tataha shadbhihi. Even though Arjuna was filled with lamentation, fury, and so on, he was fixed in dharma. And Sri Krishna wanted to expose this, wanted to reveal this. And therefore, there are 6 verses now. Both Arjuna and Lord Sri Krishna are described here as being in an angry mood. But Arjuna's eyes were like balls of red copper, whereas the eyes of the Lord were like lotuses. This means that the angry mood of Arjuna and that of the Lord are not on the same level. The Lord is transcendence, and thus he is absolute in any stage. His anger is not like the anger of a conditioned living being within the modes of qualitative material nature. Because he is absolute, both his anger and pleasure are the same. His anger is not exhibited in the 3 modes of material nature. It's only a sign of his bent of mind towards the cause of his devotee, because that is his transcendental nature. Therefore, even if he is angry, the object of anger is blessed. He is unchanged in all circumstances. 35. Mainam parthar hasitratum brahma bandhum imam jahi yosav yosavana gasah suptan avadhin nishibalakan. Lord Shri Krishna said, O Arjuna, you should not show mercy by releasing this relative of a Brahmana, Brahmabandhu, for he has killed innocent boys in their sleep. The word Brahmabandhu is significant. Brahmabandhum, a relative of a Brahmana. By releasing this relative of a Brahmana, Brahmabandhu. A person who takes birth in the family of a Brahmana but is not qualified to be called a Brahmana is addressed as a relative of a Brahmana and not as a Brahmana. One does not become a High Court judge just by virtue of being the son of a High Court judge. But there is no harm in addressing a High Court judge's son as a relative of the Honorable Justice. Therefore, as one becomes a High Court judge not by birth only, but by acquiring the necessary qualifications of a High Court judge, so also one becomes a Brahmana, not simply by birthright, but by acquiring the necessary qualifications of a Brahmana. As a High Court judgeship is a post for the qualified man, so also the post of a Brahmana is attainable by qualification only. The Shastra enjoins that if good qualifications are seen in a person born in a family other than that of a Brahmana, the qualified man has to be accepted as a Brahmana. And similarly, if a person born in the family of a Brahmana is void of Brahmanical qualification, then he must be treated as a non-Brahmana, or in better terms, a relative of a Brahmana. Lord Shri Krishna, the supreme authority of all religious principles, the Vedas, has personally pointed out these differences, and is about to explain the reason for this in the following shlokas. Okay. I will now take up the Acharya's commentaries. Where was it? 13. Okay. Okay. Now Chakravarti Thakur explains that Ashwatthama, this is under text 14, Ashwatthama thought that killing the 5 sleeping sons of the Pandavas would be pleasing to Duryodhana. But in reality, it made Duryodhana unhappy. Initially, he was happy that his enemies have died. And then when he touched, he understood that his enemies such as Bhima were not killed. And then he understood that the sons of the Pandavas were the ones who were killed. And when he heard that the Kuru Vamsha had come to an end, then he became dejected. And he attained death because of this delight and dejection. Upasitam Jugrapsi. 15. Swapnoyam. These events, these happened in a dream. Parthanuyatam atmanam drauni swapne dadashaha bandhanam chatmanas tatra draupadya chaiva mokshanam iti skande. Tasma naishika virodha, not virodha. In the Mahabharata, it is the event is described as a fight between Bhima and Ashwatthama. But in Bhagavatam here, there's a discussion of, there's a presentation of Arjuna's fight with Ashwatthama. So he quotes from Skanda Purana. He points out that this happened in Drauni's dream, Ashwatthama's dream. So in his dream, he saw that Partha or Arjuna was chasing him, and he was arrested, and that Draupadi released him. So therefore, there is no contradiction between the presentation found in Mahabharata. Sixteen. Seventeen. 18. Eight, 19. Ashutanam Prabhu.
Prabhu, I missed which Acharya's commentary it was, where who is reconciling that it was not a contradiction, it was a dream of the Droni.
Madhvacharya.
Okay.
20.
But if someone asks that how did he knew that it is a dream if it is not
Comes in
mentioned?
Skanda Purana, he quotes from a Skanda Purana verse.
Okay. Sorry.
21. 22. The idea is that you can even liberate the living creatures from the fire of material existence. So why would you not liberate the living entities from this fire of the Brahmastra? 23. Jiva Goswami points out that the reason why Krishna can destroy material existence caused by Maya is because he possesses a potency which is distinct from Maya. And that is now pointed out by Arjuna, that you are directly that Purusha, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are well known as the inner controller of all souls, Antaryami. So, both in material manifestation and in spiritual manifestation, you are untouched. You are not transformed by either of the two manifestations, material or spiritual. Kaivalyasthita Atmani. Kaivalya itself is a name of the Supreme Lord. Paravaranam Paramaste Kaivalya Sangitaha. We learned that from the 11th canto. That is his original nature of pure bliss. The Devas also refer to this in the 6th canto. Prakriti in the current verse refers to the three modes of material nature. It's also referred to in the 3rd canto. Those who are desirous of learning specific details about the three potencies should consult Sri Bhagavat Sandarbha, the 2nd Sandarbha. Another meaning. The Supreme Lord is himself situated as a plenary portion in Kaivalya, which means liberation, which is characterized as Sri Vaikuntha. And that is very far away from Maya. This is also noted in the 2nd canto by Shukadeva Goswami, that Vaikuntha is very far from Maya. This is also noted in Uttarakhanda of Padma Purana. Moksham Param Padam Lingam Amritam Vishnu Mandiram. that the sacred residence of Lord Vishnu is deathless, and it is referred to as liberation and Paramapada, the supreme abode. Twenty-four, 25, 'A very nice remark. Just as the other incarnations of the Lord, such as the Purushavatas, this incarnation, known as Sri Krishna, who is Sakshat Bhagavan, the original personality of Godhead, and who is you, you have also appeared, just like your other incarnations. And Bhudevi, earth personified, is your supreme devotee. To remove her burden, you have appeared. You have taken birth. Despite this, you become the object of happiness caused by the personal devotional activities of your other devotees, just so that they can repeatedly meditate on you constantly. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that the Supreme Lord, when he descends in a completely spiritual form. He just manifests himself. Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan says, the Lord descends for the pleasure of his own associates, who were his relatives, and for some of them who were sadhakas. He descends for the pleasure of his associates and for the meditation of the sadhakas. Because the implication is, he could have removed the earth's burden simply by willing to do so. 26. 27. 28. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur notes that Arjuna might have thought, this fire has come, so why can't I just use the water weapon, Varunastra, and so on, to tranquilize this fire, to neutralize this fire? But the Lord points out, no, this cannot be removed in this manner. It can only be neutralized using another Brahmastra. So you need to use your own Brahmastra. And through that prowess, you need to destroy this prowess, because you know about weapons. "29. "30. "31. 32. So initially, the Lord just wanted him to counterattack, and then he wanted him to neutralize. 33. $34. In Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur notes that in this text, Krishna is referred to as Ambujakshana, lotus-eyed, and not as Arunakshana, red-eyed. This indicates that his anger was only external, superficial. So Arjuna wanted to take Ashwatthama to the Shibir, to the camp where the king was residing, King Yudhishthira. Prakupitaha indicates that he put on the gesture of being angry. Aroshano Hyasaudeva. The Narayana portion of Mahabharata states that the Supreme Lord is indeed free from anger. And therefore, he is referred to as Ambujakshana. 35. Okay. Okay, we'll stop with this. Mohan Radhapati Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So we have heard of different astras like Narayana Astra, Pasupati Astra, and here we hear of Brahmastra. So are these connected to trinities like anything?
I don't know. All of this comes in Mahabharata, Puranas.
Okay, fine.
If I come across it, then I might remember. Okay.
Hare Krishna. So, the energy, the internal energy, internal potency, also three parts it is divided, right? Like Hladini, Samvedini, Sandhini or Samvit. So, how did they help to us?
I don't understand your question. They are Krishna's internal potency.
Did they help us?
Help us.
Yeah. What is their work actually? What is their function?
The Hladini potency makes Krishna happy. Sandhini potency provides him the existence where he engages in his pastimes in the spiritual world. And Samvit potency brings about various feelings of realization and spiritual rasa and so on. The Jivatma is meant to be in the spiritual world and engage in service to Krishna and participate in Krishna's happiness.
So, being a conditioned soul, we are not entering into the spiritual world. So, external potency is working on us, right?
Yes, the external potency is working on us.
So, in this material world, these potencies have no No work.
This world is a reflection of the spiritual world. So material energy also exhibits superficially these aspects of Sachidananda. We exist for some time. We have limited knowledge. We experience droplets of pleasure. That's all. Tat Shakti, Chit Shakti, Ananda Shakti. That's all. Not some complicated things. Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini. In this world, we experience the absence of Sachidananda, no? Asat, Achit, Nirananda. That's what we experience.
So the droplets of happiness means it is material happiness, you want to say, or spiritual happiness?
No, material happiness. First of all, it's very little, no? It is immediately mixed with unhappiness. It is followed by unhappiness. Okay?
Okay.
We will study all these things as we go through Bhagavatam. Okay?
Yeah,
Vanchakalpatra, Kripasantabhyo, Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha.